show, Happiness on NPR, and that's where I got the idea. Let's do this series on how we can increase our happiness. And the thing was, they really pointed out we have some erroneous ideas about happiness and how it works. We have some sense that that our genetic makeup has something to do with it, and that that we're somehow connected back to where we came from as far as how happy we feel in life. And it turns out that that's about a 50% predisposition. And I want to emphasize that it's a predisposition. That it doesn't mean that you're locked into that 50%, but that you're just predisposed, that we're all predisposed at about 50% to be like our ancestors were. And of course with us, it's a mix of them. So, there's a lot of possibilities there. Most of us, though, previously may have thought that our life circumstances really are the biggest things that contribute to whether we feel happy or not. Whether good things happen to us, bad things happen, whether the relationship is going right, whether it's not, all of those kind of things. Some people would say how our luck is. But it turns out that's only 10%. These aren't my numbers. I mean, they did quite a few studies to figure this out. 10%. So 10% is life events. And the reason that that's true is that when a life event happens, even though it may be devastating, we are programmed, so to speak, to get over it pretty quick. Now, we can, through our own force of will, keep returning our mind to the event if we want to. But we're just kind of naturally programmed to get over it pretty quickly. It's devastating at first, and then we get over it. But then the biggest thing, and what I really wanted to talk about most was the idea that 40% of whether we feel happy or not is totally up to us. It's up to us, the patterns that we establish, the thoughts we decide to think, which of course generate feelings. I mean, this is 40% up to us. And one of the most interesting things about the show was the first three things that they mentioned. And there are a number of different scientists and doctors who have written books about happiness, and they have some general themes that run through them. And there were these three things that show up every single time in people who are generally more happy than the norm. And these three things are, first of all, they feel a connection to others. Now, this could be strong family ties. Well, we also know that strong family ties can lead to quite a bit of discomfort. But strong family ties, strong ties in a community, strong ties to a fellowship, very strong bonds of friendship. But this was like the number one thing, sense of connection to others. And of course, the happier it was, and this proved out totally, were the people that felt connected to more people were happier. So spread, and what we talk about here is that actually that love is one portion of love is this ability to feel connected to others, and then the desire for only good to come to others. So this connection is really talking about love. So then the second was gratitude. The second most important one was that the people who were happiest were grateful. They were just grateful in general. Many of them had lists and things like that, but they were just generally grateful for life. And the third thing was that they were able to be of service to others. That it was an important component of their life was to be helpful. So these are the three most important things that showed through in all of the different studies. There are actually 12 total that we're talking about today. We are talking about, and I'll put it on the sign so you'll get a hint every week if you're driving by. You'll get a hint what it's going to be on Sunday. But today is kindness. Be kind to all. To all be kind. This is This is not that easy. It's a good thought. It's something to aspire to. But as I said, the 40%, this 40% niche of that we can be happy through our own volition, through our own habits, through our own decisions. That 40%, that's where this decision to be kind comes from. Now, it is interesting that there is a component of a tendency to be kind built into the genetics. Now, it is actually an evolutionary imperative, what we call kindness, because we found out over a million years that when you extend yourself to others, when you are kind to others, generally they reciprocate. So that's why it's also locked into the genetic predisposition. It's because it's just you get along better, and bottom line, you survive better. But it turns out that being kind generates a sense of happiness. Now, we didn't know this at first, and many people thought, we are taught, right? We are taught part of being civilized. Part of being civilized is to be compassionate. Part of being civilized is to show kindness to others. And so it was just generally assumed, and because of the idea that, it really is a win-win kind of a situation, that we're taught to do this as part of the social norm, to kind of keep us in line with society. But it turns out that the acts of kindness actually generate feelings of happiness. And they did some studies about it, and they asked people to do 5 acts of kindness. 5 acts. And they broke the study up into 2 groups. And one group, they said, you're going to do 5 acts of kindness, not in your normal routine. You're going to do them all in one day. And the other group, they told them, you're going to do 5 acts of kindness, not in your normal routine, but you're going to do them during the week. Maybe one a day, maybe one, however you do it. You're going to do it, but you're going to spread them out through the week. Well, it turned out that the group that they had do the 5 acts of kindness in one day had a large rise in their levels of happiness. And the people who spread them out over a week, it dissipated very quickly. Well, and they thought, it's because generally people do some kind of kindness. Most people do some kind of kindness every day anyway. And so by spreading it so thin, it really didn't affect the general level of happiness. But putting them all together, it did. And not only did it raise the level of happiness, but it raised their level of happiness over an extended period of time. So, it's just a habit. It's just a habit to say, now I want to be kind every day. So that's why I put the sign up, it says, to all be kind. Be kind to all, right? It's just an attitude. It's something we want to shoot for every day. But to have one day, if you decided that you wanted to work on this particular habit, you would decide that I'm going to have this one day where I'm going to be extra kind. One day a week, and I'm going to make it the same day out of the week, and I'm going to decide, and I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to make it fresh. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to find 5 ways in that day to do some act of kindness that I would not have done otherwise. We can go through and increase this. Being fresh, it really does help. But this giving of ourselves raises this sense of happiness in us. We become more open to others. The study showed that what ends up happening is that when we give to others, we receive others in more open ways. We become more aware of our own blessings. It makes us just feel better about ourselves. Now, it's the old story that I tell, and I still do this. It's a habit, so I repeat it, and I and you've undoubtedly, if you've been here more than 3 times, you've probably heard me say it. But the idea of wherever I go, let me think about this. Let me think about this idea of being kind wherever I'm at. So whatever situation in your life where you find yourself impatient and short with people, make a decision that in this situation, this week, this day, I'm going to give kindness. And what I was thinking about was in the grocery store. It doesn't have to be the grocery store. It could be like a department store. It could be anywhere where a bunch of people are in there. They're all on a mission. I'm on a mission. They don't seem to be caring too much about my mission. My mission my mission when I go in there, my first thought anyway, is I want to get my business taken care of and I want to get the heck out of there as quickly as possible. This is a pain in the butt. I don't want to be in here any longer than I have to. And so any kind of thing that impedes my progress to my mission causes irritation and impatience. But so if I decide when I go to the grocery store that I'm just going to be calm and at peace, and I'm going to look for ways to be calm as I make my way through the grocery store, ways to be kind to people as I make my way around. So when I get in line and the people are, the line says, now it clearly says on the sign, 8 items. Somebody's got 12. It's no big deal. The sign says no WIC cards. No, right? But they got one. I don't have to get upset about this. I can just relax. If this is the easy one for me is when the person in front of me is yelling at the cashier for some reason. Then I know that what my job is when I get in front of the cashier, my job is to be kind. My job is to go out of my way to kind of diffuse that bad feeling, that's kind of that residue that's just kind of laying there after this other person was yelling. And this, there's so many opportunities, some things, something that really gets, like I get upset about is when I hear people and it happens quite a bit in the grocery store, when I hear people abusing their kids in the store. Now, it's interesting because what I think is abuse, I guess a lot of people don't think is abuse. Right? But when I hear somebody just berating a child, and hey, listen, it's not just that. Well, it isn't just, I've been in the store where it's been more than just somebody yelling at their kid. I mean, I've seen them hit their kids, and I have a tendency to get involved in those situations. And here's what I discovered. When I get involved in an aggressive way, and I'll just tell you that my sense of it is I want to get in between them and the kid. I mean, I want to let, my first thing is I want to say, hit me. This is where I'm coming from. But it doesn't work. It's absolutely ineffective. For a minute, the person, the fear would jump up in the other person. Here's this aggressive, crazy man in the store that's coming after me. And so the behavior will end. But I know for sure, and the studies will show this too, that the kid is going to take the brunt of it later. What works is if we're able to release our anger, extend compassion and kindness, and you can't figure out, there's no way, I can't give you a manual on how to handle these situations because they have to be handled in the moment, on the cusp of things, and the only way we can know how to do that is to be quiet enough inside that Spirit will speak through us. So that actually the right thing gets said, the right action happens, and it doesn't even have to be anything said at all. It could just be to look at them. And not to look at them like you're mad at them, but just to get their attention. So I don't know exactly what you say, but Spirit knows. And so that's all we have to do. is to relax into spirit. So if we decide, there may be some places where it could be our workplace. It could be our workplace where during the day we've got problems with this kindness thing. There could be people there that try our patience continually. Or we make a special day at work. Not Friday though, because that's just maybe you can't do it on Monday because Monday's too much anyway. But sometime in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, make a decision. Today I'm going to be the kindest person in the workplace. I am going to that. And there's that one person. There's one person where you just soon avoid them, and maybe you have to. I mean, maybe, but at least have a kind thought in mind for them. Give money. Give time. What was the old, to share talent, time, and treasure. Talent, time, and treasure. These are kindnesses that we can go through. We all have some unique gifts. And those gifts are ours, and they're lessons for us to learn and gifts for us to give. And so our talents, we share our talents with others who need them. Now, sometimes we share our talents with others and they pay us. But the focus should be, because that's our job, right? We got these talents, we got a job, and they pay us, we get a weekly paycheck. But if we are thinking more in terms of, I'm in the flow of life, and I'm doing these things that I'm good at, I'm giving these talents as a gift, and then the universe, of course it's got some company name on the check, but it's the universe giving me back my living, right? So then the next piece is our time. And this is maybe, I think for me, this is the hardest thing for me to give because I'm so busy. Because I have so much going on. For me to commit time to something different than I'm already involved in, it's tough. But I try to remember. There will be an opportunity every day when somebody needs just a little bit of time. And our tendency is to say, man, I don't have it. I don't have the time. I want to move on. I don't have time to get involved in their drama. And you know what? Sometimes the best course of action is not to get involved in their drama. But sometimes you know that you have something to contribute. But still, it's difficult to make that commitment, to give a little piece of time. On an ongoing basis, even for busy people, if we can say, I'm going to carve out some time to give in this way, to give kindness to someone, to some cause. I'm going to give some time, even though I'm busy. No, there's an old saying I remember taking management courses, and it showed up all the time. Was you give tasks to the busiest people because they get them done. Treasure, to give treasure. Okay, so treasure could be money. That's the first thing that comes up. It is a kindness to be free with money. Just depending on our mindset, this could be the most difficult thing. For most people, it's actually time, but sometimes it is not a kindness to give money. Sometimes Jack said, I'm bringing this book to you, and the name of the book is Toxic Charity. You can imagine what it's about. It's about giving in inappropriate situations. It's about giving and ends up in a situation where you're actually helping somebody stay in a bad state because they don't have to break out of it, because you just keep supporting them, right? So, but we need to kind of figure it out. And again, Spirit can be very helpful in this way to help us figure out when it's appropriate to give and when it's not. So, but to be afraid, and I have been in this mindset, to be afraid to give, just say money, for example, I know I've got to overcome that. I've got to get past that. I've got to get through, because I know that that actually keeps good from coming to me. But treasure is more than money. Treasure could be something you treasure. Treasure could be some possession that you have, that you've maybe had for some long period of time. And it's almost like, oh, this is like my cherished thing. To be able to give something like that is and you can't do it. You can't do it if you don't do it freely. It's not going to be a good experiment. But to be able, when a time comes up when you can feel that it would be a good thing if I gave this to someone. If we think about everything we own as just being lent to us, would be kind of like a good idea. Everything that we own and everything that comes into our lives, just temporarily, it's under my care. It's under my care. And this also sets up a habit that is also very good, which is take care of your stuff. When you get stuff, take care of it. Don't just let it fall into disrepair, right? Take care of it, because, not just so that it's good for you, but so that when it's time to give it to somebody else, it's not junk. So it's a kindness to share. And it matches up with the first one we were talking about a few weeks back. It matches up to gratitude. That the more grateful I am, the easier it is going to be for me to share a kindness. Now, all this idea of sharing talent, time, and treasure, that's great. But kindnesses can be just these small little things that we do. The kind word.